Hey, this is Aaron Shaw with another edition of Coach's Corner. This is a weekly newsletter for some tips and tricks for you to stay as healthy and active as possible. And what I really like to do is talk about some simple ways that you can integrate movement and exercise into day-to-day routines so you can reap all the strength benefits from that. So what I'm going to talk about today is a simple exercise that you can use with, I have a 6-pound exercise ball here, but you can literally use a backpack with a book in it or something, or pretty much anything that just weighs a couple of pounds. You're not going to be throwing things like this ball, but you are going to be holding on to something that has just a couple pounds of weight for resistance. And this exercise is going to be done in standing, and it's going to be a core strengthening exercise. So a lot of us, when we think about core or abs, it's sitting down and doing sit-ups or crunches and stuff like that, which are planks. So a lot of those are can be really great exercises to engage your core, but also it's really good to engage your core from a standing position, because after all, when we really need our core the most is going to be when we're standing up or reaching over for something, and we really need to kind of have that stability. And so this is going to be a little bit dependent on shoulder strength. And so if you do have a shoulder condition that limits how far you reach overhead, then you can kind of modify this now by not reaching quite so far overhead, but the movement is going to be this. You're going to twist your trunk to the side. So even just simply doing that, you should start to feel, as my pelvis is trying to still stay as forward as I possibly can while I'm rotating my shoulders out to the side. So from here, I'm going to take this ball, I'm going to lift it up. Once it's up overhead, rotate to the other side, bring it down nice and controlled. And this is where, if your shoulders can't really tolerate lifting far overhead, just don't go quite so far. The biggest key with this one is the rotation. So once you're up to a comfortable level up overhead, rotate that trunk, bring it back down. And so as I'm rotating to my right, so I'm rotating towards my right side, what I'm thinking about is taking my left hip and I'm pushing it backwards. So I'm really trying to literally twist and rotate from my shoulders to my pelvis. I'm trying to have this really twisted twist in my spine, and that twist is really coming from my obliques. So if you think about doing an exercise would be side crunches, where people kind of twist and rotate from one elbow to the opposite knee when they're coming up. So that gets some of the oblique muscles and that rotational strength, which is great, because in life, again, what happens is we're going to be challenging our balance, challenging our core stability when we're standing and reaching across a shelf, or across, you're in the kitchen, you're reaching over something on an upper shelf. And so you do have this trunk rotation and being a little bit perhaps off balance, or your center of gravity started to be tilted a little bit. And so we want to make sure we have that stability. You don't need any high-tech equipment. Again, you can use a ball, a book, a couple of books, nothing glass, I would say. But other than that, you're going to be focusing on big rotation, and you can even stay with one side if you want. So you get a big trunk rotation. So now I'm rotating to my left. I'm thinking about my right pelvis and trying to rotate it back. And you can just go up and down. So the difference, and the way to make this more challenging, would obviously be a heavier weight, because the further this weight is away from me and the heavier it is, the more it's trying to tip me over. So I've really got to harness not only my abs, but my back muscles as well, to really kind of keep me upright. So you can sit here and do a couple of repetitions this way. Then of course, coming up, rotating the other side, you can do a couple of repetitions this way. The whole time my feet are staying planted, and so I'm not sidestepping and really kind of rotating my whole body. You should feel some tension and some effort in your abs overall. If you really think about it, you may feel a little bit more on one side or the other. You may feel a little bit in the hip as you're trying to rotate and kind of push one hip back in the opposite direction of your shoulder. But it is, in a sense, a standing crunch. If you think about what those crunches are, when people kind of rotate up and around. Same idea, but now instead of taking it from the ground, which we don't really need to be, it's not much of a functional carryover doing a rotation core engagement from your back. But from standing, do it all the time. We need to have that stability. We need to have that resilience, strength, balance, coordination. This is a great way to do it. Low tech, a little bit of resistance, and you can do it in the comfort of your home. Don't need to go to the gym. So give it a shot. Try 5, maybe 10 repetitions on each side, moving slowly and controlled. If you feel pain, skip it. The challenge with this would be if you have shoulder issues or low back issues. Excuse me. And if those you feel like are limiting, you can of course skip the exercise entirely, which is perfectly fine. Go for a lighter weight. Don't lift up your arms quite so high, or don't rotate your spine quite so far. So explore that. If you have a history of an injury in those areas, explore. Safety first. Don't get too overwhelmed or too aggressive right out of the gate and be sore because of it. Give it a shot. If you have questions about this exercise or any other ones, or how to modify an exercise to work around the injuries, we all have them. Feel free to reach out, reply to this video, comes right back to me. You can always ask your physio coach, give us a call. And until then, a little bit of resistance, standing, rotation, great core exercise. I'll talk to you soon.